You're about to encounter a truth so jarring it could reshape everything you think you know. Your life, every plan, every worry might just pivot in the next 3 days, whether you see it coming or not. If there's a tingle racing through your chest right now, trust it. That's your spirit recognizing the magnitude of what's approaching. This might feel surreal, especially if you've been grinding through the same routines for months or even years. Yet here you are, stumbling across these words, sensing a shift your logical mind can't quite grasp. There's no accident in that. You're literally standing on the threshold of a reset where the universe, or whatever you call the deeper force guiding your life, decides to turn the page on your behalf. Before we dive any deeper, do one tiny but potent thing. Tap that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave 77 in the comments to broadcast a signal to the universe that you're all in for what's about to happen. Then drop another comment, ready for what's next, because that small act can sink your energy in a way you might not even fathom yet. And please, especially stick around through chapter 4, because that's where a crucial piece of the puzzle ties in. The single insight that can help you harness this 3-day transformation instead of letting it blow by. Miss that, and you could bypass the entire chance to ride the tidal wave of change heading your way. Sure, you might think, 3 days? That's it. But consider how quickly life can shift in an instant. A phone call, a chance encounter, a burst of clarity, or an unexpected invitation can reroute your destiny. The difference now is that you're prepared, perhaps even subconsciously, to seize it. And if there's any part of you whispering, "But I'm not ready," hush that voice for a moment. It's possible you are more aligned than you've ever been, or you wouldn't be hearing this. We're about to unravel 7 chapters of why and how everything can pivot so fast and what it means for the next phase of your existence. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The subtle cracks that signal. A new start. You might not have noticed them at first. These subtle fissures in your daily routine, your mindset, your relationships, but they've been forming for a while now, like hairline cracks in the ice, unnoticeable until they widen. Perhaps you've had fleeting moments of unrest, sensing your current life is too small for the person you are becoming. These moments aren't random anxiety. They're clues that something foundational is shifting beneath your feet. Think about those times you've looked in the mirror, feeling you no longer recognize the person staring back, or the random nights you can't sleep. Not from stress, but from an unshakable curiosity about what else might be out there for you. That's the telltale sign you're itching for a do-over, even if you can't articulate what needs revamping. The universe picks up on that static of restlessness, aligning events to give you the fresh slate you might not dare request out loud. But why 3 days? Time is more elastic than we think. Some shifts can take months, while others erupt like a lightning bolt. You might see it as a psychological phenomenon. Once you become aware that a reset is possible, your subconscious goes into hyperdrive, rearranging your motivation and alertness so you spot opportunities you'd usually ignore. Or you can view it spiritually. Forces beyond your everyday perception might orchestrate a new path when your readiness peaks. Either way, the clock is ticking, and it's wise to stay alert. One tiny action: grab a notepad or open your phone's notes and write down 3 nagging issues you procrastinated on, like an unresolved personal conflict, a lingering health tweak you need to make, or a creative project you shelved. These are the cracks. Over the next 3 days, commit to one small step for each. You might be stunned how swiftly momentum gathers when you finally act. Because here's the kicker. Once you engage even slightly with these cracks, they can burst open into real transformation. Sometimes we're conditioned to fear change, especially abrupt or large-scale overhauls. But the cracks you're sensing aren't there to destroy your life. They're there to break the shell that's outlived its purpose. Imagine a seed. It has to crack open to sprout. If it remains sealed, it rots. The same principle applies to you. This break is a shift from stale routines to a new cycle of growth. When the cracks become visible, it's usually a sign your spirit can't stay confined anymore. Externally, you might notice weird coincidences. People from your past reappear, or a phrase you keep hearing resonates with a dormant dream. These synchronicities aren't random. They're prods from the universe nudging you to pay attention to the cracks forming around you. Maybe an old friend calls up with a job lead that aligns with a hidden passion, or you see a billboard advertising a course you secretly wanted to take. Each of these can be a mini doorway into your new life if you choose to step through it. Another factor is that once you spot these cracks, it's tough to unsee them. The illusions that once kept you complacent lose their grip. You can't buy into the same excuses or hide behind the same patterns, and that's okay. It means your deeper self is awakening, refusing to be lulled by the status quo. Sure, it can be unnerving, but it's also exhilarating to realize you're on the cusp of something bigger than you've ever allowed yourself to imagine. Remember, these cracks are subtle, only until you acknowledge them. Then they can split wide open. Over the next 3 days, heightened cosmic or psychological energy will likely accelerate this process. Don't fight it. Lean into the tension. Let it stretch you. The more you welcome the cracks, the more you'll find they're not harbingers of doom, but harbingers of your next evolution. Embrace them and watch how swiftly a new version of your reality congeals around you. Chapter 2. Why you're on the verge of a complete life reset. A life reset often feels like a wild rumor, something that happens to other people, the lucky ones who stumble upon a grand epiphany. Yet if you're reading this, it's not random. You might be unknowingly primed for a total relaunch of who you are, where you live, what you do, and even who you mingle with. The universe isn't subtle when it's time to pivot. It bombards you with a chain of events or internal realizations that leave little room for denial. So if you're experiencing that, nodding to yourself, thinking, this might actually be me, you're on the brink. Plain and simple. The question is, why now? Typically, resets coincide with the exhaustion of old narratives. You've run the script so many times, like the job you hate, the unfulfilling routines, the relationships that cycle through the same toxic patterns, that your soul cries, enough. That's the catalyst. No matter how comfortable or familiar the old life seems, part of you recognizes it's no longer sustainable. You crave deeper meaning, or you sense your creative spark is dimming. The universe picks up on your silent plea for something more, orchestrating the circumstances for a reset. We often associate resets with crises, like getting laid off or suffering a painful breakup. While those can certainly trigger radical changes, not all resets stem from catastrophe. Sometimes it's a quiet turning point. You wake up one day and the monotony of repeating your routine for the thousandth time becomes unbearable. The absence of external drama doesn't invalidate the shift. It just means your soul is driving the transformation more gently from within. Try this exercise. Identify 3 strong emotions you've felt consistently over the past few weeks. Maybe restlessness, hope, longing, or frustration. Write them down and ask what they might be pointing toward. Often these emotions act like signposts, indicating that your current life structure doesn't match your internal yearnings. Recognizing this mismatch can be the final puzzle piece that assures you a reset is not just possible but imminent. Still, resets aren't always about changing jobs or moving cities. Though they can be, sometimes they're about reorienting your worldview. Maybe you've been living by inherited beliefs that never felt true. Perhaps you realize your spiritual or personal convictions are shifting, and you need to adopt a new moral or philosophical stance. That's every bit as life-altering as a physical relocation, because it rewires how you interpret everything, from daily interactions to career goals. Then there's the element of synchronicity. When you're on the verge of a reset, bizarrely apt coincidences multiply. You overhear a random conversation that seems directed right at your secret concerns. You stumble on a book or article that addresses exactly what's been gnawing at your mind. A friend randomly invites you to an event that ends up clarifying your path. These unrelated events form a tapestry, weaving your next reality, if you allow them. A reset often thrives on small steps that spiral into monumental changes. Another sign is that old systems that once worked seamlessly for you start malfunctioning. Projects stall, relationships wobble, or your health flags in ways that highlight the need. For a new approach, the universe might be sending distress signals telling you your old operating system can't handle the upgraded software. If you keep patching it with minor fixes, you'll stay stuck. But if you seize the moment, discard outdated methods, and step into new territory, you'll experience an ease that was absent before. Fear naturally creeps in. Will a reset ruin my stability? Will I regret leaving behind the known? That's normal. The unknown is intimidating, but staying in a stifling comfort zone can be soul-crushing. If you weigh risk versus regret, ask yourself, which is costlier, leaping into a potential new life or stagnating in half-hearted contentment? For those who sense the universe tapping on their shoulder, the bigger danger is ignoring that nudge, only to watch your spark dim further. Finally realize that resets can be led. You might start by shifting your career, then discover it's time to address your living situation, then your social circle. Each piece unfolds as you embrace the first wave of change. Over the next 3 days, this chain reaction can kick off quickly. One coincidental event pushes you to reevaluate job prospects, which leads you to meet new people, which then sparks a desire to relocate or transform other aspects of your life. It's like toppling a row of dominoes, carefully set up by a higher intelligence you can't quite see, but are starting to trust. Chapter 3. The buzzing energy that pushes you forward. Ever notice a subtle hum in the back of your mind, like a restless current urging you to act, to create, or to explore? That's what some call buzzing energy. It arises when your spirit aligns with the possibility of dramatic change. You might feel supercharged one day, as though you drank 10 cups of coffee even though you only had one. This hyper-awareness usually indicates you're on the precipice of something major. This buzzing energy has an odd way of making you simultaneously nervous and excited. It can disrupt your sleep with random bursts of inspiration or keep you alert during boring tasks at work. If you're experiencing this, you might think you're anxious, but there's a distinction. Anxiety often focuses on worst-case scenarios, while this buzzing energy feels more like unchanneled eagerness, a call to leap, even if you can't see the full landing pad. One approach to harness this energy is structured spontaneity. That may sound contradictory, but it's not. You create a flexible framework, like dedicating 2 hours in your evening to follow whatever creative or learning impulses strike. No rigid plan, just allocated time to let your curiosity roam. This channels the buzzing into tangible actions without confining it too tightly. Over a few days, you'll see how many small breakthroughs can arise from simply giving your restlessness a playground. Also, watch how your body responds. Buzzing energy can build up tension if not released. You might find short walks, yoga stretches, or even 10 minutes of dancing in your living room give you an outlet. Physical movement transforms pent-up momentum into kinetic flow, opening mental clarity. If you ignore the body signals, you risk turning that beautiful surge of positivity into crankiness or feeling physically agitated. Remember that this energy might mystify people around you who expect your usual demeanor. They see you more talkative, more vibrant, or they notice your eyes gleaming with excitement. Some may question you, suspecting a big announcement. That alone can tempt you to overshare prematurely. While it's good to confide in trusted allies, also keep some of that energy internal, incubating ideas until they're ready for the world. Not everyone can handle your glow-up in its infancy. A small exercise. Each morning for the next 3 days, sit for 5 minutes, eyes closed, breathing deep, and ask yourself, what does my buzzing energy want me to do today? The first thought or image that flashes could be your directive. Maybe it's call that friend about a business idea, sign up for guitar lessons, or redesign your workspace. Jot it down and take at least one step in that direction. This ritual can be startlingly effective in channeling your restless spark into meaningful progress. Beware, though, of letting the buzz turn into manic activity. Yes, you have a surge of power, but it can spin you into burnout if you try to do everything at once. Pace yourself. This isn't a 24-hour mania. It's an ongoing signal that your life is ready for an upgrade. You don't want to crash before you even see the main event. Think of it like having a gas tank full of premium fuel. You still have to steer carefully to reach your destination without wrecking the car. When your environment or inner critic balks at this new impetus, that's a sign you're truly venturing into transformative territory. If it were easy and comfortable, you'd have done it ages ago. So treat any initial discomfort as confirmation you're stretching beyond your known confines. That's how real evolution works. Like a hermit crab finding a bigger shell, you scuttle around awkwardly at first, but soon it fits like home. Finally, letting this buzzing energy push you forward doesn't mean losing your grounded sense of self. In fact, it's about amplifying your authentic core. The old you isn't replaced, it's expanded. You still carry your unique essence, but now it's got a turbo boost that propels you into realms you once thought were off limits. Embrace that synergy of who you've been and who you're becoming. Over the next 3 days, this synergy can gain unstoppable momentum, and you'll look back wondering why you ever settled for less. Chapter 4. With a single key insight that locks in your new beginning. Here's the core revelation. Your external life resets the moment your internal state fully believes it can. Yes, we often wait for external catalysts, job offers, invitations, random strokes of luck. But that's backward. The real pivot happens when your own belief system rearranges itself to accept that a radical new start is not just possible, but imminent. Once you internalize this, the universe scrambles to match the external world to your upgraded internal reality. Why does belief carry such colossal weight? Because your subconscious rules your daily choices more than you realize. If a part of you harbors doubt, I can't really walk away from my old life, I'm not that bold, you'll sabotage opportunities that prove otherwise. Maybe you'll forget to follow up on a contact, or you'll talk yourself out of a phone interview for a new job. But if you truly believe you're stepping into a new life, your actions and words unconsciously align to make that happen. People sense your conviction and respond accordingly. An action to solidify this. Do a short daily affirmation that states your new beginning in the present tense. Something like, I am now embracing a fresh start that elevates every part of my life. Repeat it throughout the day, especially when self-doubt creeps in. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about reminding your inner critic that you're choosing a reality where your reset is already underway. Over time, that pretend scenario turns into your lived experience. Another tip is to remove conflicting signals you send yourself. For instance, if you yearn to travel but keep a home environment cluttered with past memorabilia, you're telling your mind you're anchored to your old identity. Or if you long for new relationships but cling to toxic ties for comfort, you muddy the message. Consistency matters. Align your habits, your environment, and your words to reinforce the belief in your imminent fresh start. Sometimes you might question if you're living in denial, especially if you don't see immediate outward changes. That's normal. Transformation often has a lag time as your new frequency magnetizes the conditions that fit it. The key is not to lose heart during that lag. Keep nurturing your belief. Keep taking steps that echo your conviction, and watch as incremental shifts accumulate into one defining pivot. Beware external naysayers. They might sense your growing conviction, trying to inject doubt, asking for proof, or accusing you of being unrealistic. Those demands for evidence can derail you if you rely on external validation. You have to ground in your internal knowing that a new beginning is your right, not a lofty dream. The universe rarely provides outward confirmation before you commit. It's typically the other way around. Your commitment triggers the confirming events. Also, let's clarify. Believing in a new beginning doesn't mean ignoring practical realities. If you want a new career, you still polish your resume or take relevant courses. If you want to relocate, you research neighborhoods or job markets. The synergy of belief and practical effort is unstoppable. One without the other is half-baked. Faith ignites you, but strategy gives it form. So as you let your conviction bloom, be sure to pair it with tangible planning. Note that no matter how firm your belief is, you might face tests. A sudden financial hiccup or a friend mocking your ambitions might rattle you. The universe doesn't do this to break you. It does it to anchor your decision. Each test invites you to reaffirm your stance. I'm not turning back. Passing these tests cements your new timeline, sending a clear cosmic signal that your shift is non-negotiable. Finally, once you absorb this insight that external resets hinge on internal transformation, you become your own. Liberator, no longer do you wait for perfect timing or green lights from others. You generate the shift from within, trusting that the universe will follow suit. And that trust isn't naive. It's the fundamental mechanic of co-creation. Over the next 3 days, lean on this principle. Let your belief anchor your actions. In doing so, you effectively sign the cosmic papers, declaring your life is ready to start. Chapter 5. Allowing closure for the phase you're leaving behind. As you gear up for a brand new cycle, it's crucial to bid a proper farewell to the chapter you're exiting. That might sound dramatic, but closure is how you avoid dragging emotional baggage into your fresh start. Without it, you risk contaminating your new life with unresolved feelings or regrets from the old one, muddying the clarity you're striving to achieve. Closure isn't always about dramatic confrontations or tearful goodbyes. Sometimes it's about quietly recognizing that a certain period of your life, perhaps defined by a job, a relationship, or a mindset, has served its purpose. You can acknowledge the lessons, the joys, the pains, and then let them be. This act of letting be, rather than holding on, frees up the energy you need to fully embrace what's next. One exercise. Consider writing a brief thank you letter to the phase you're leaving, not to a specific person, but to that segment of your life. For instance, "Dear last 3 years of my life, thank you for teaching me the value of resilience, for forcing me to discover new skills I never thought I'd need, for revealing who my true friends are." Then finish the letter with a statement like, "I now release you and step forward with gratitude." You don't have to keep this letter, burn it, or shred it. It can symbolically mark the end. Sometimes closure involves addressing unresolved conflicts. If you parted ways with someone on tense terms but keep replaying the hurt, it might be worth sending a simple apology or a gesture of goodwill, unless that reignites toxic dynamics. You are not seeking to rekindle a defunct friendship or romance, but to clear any energetic debt. If direct contact isn't safe or appropriate, do a mental or spiritual release. The point is to lighten your load so you can run freely into your new beginning. Acknowledging disappointment is also part of closure. Maybe a dream you nurtured didn't pan out as you hoped, or a mentor turned out to be unreliable. Accept that disappointment is not a personal failure. It's a sign you dared to invest hope in something. Mourn it if you must, but don't cling to the if-only loop. By reframing disappointment as an experience that shaped you, you diffuse its power to trap you in resentment or self-pity. As you finalize closure, you might notice small pockets of lingering nostalgia. That's normal. You shared real moments and overcame real hurdles in your old life. The aim isn't to erase those memories, but to prevent them from dictating your future. A bit of fondness or sadness can coexist with your resolve to move on. This emotional complexity enriches you, showing you can appreciate the past while still prioritizing the present forward march. An undervalued aspect of closure is self-forgiveness. If you keep blaming yourself for missed chances or allowing yourself to be mistreated, you remain tethered to those negative self-perceptions. Free yourself by admitting you did the best you could with the knowledge you had. Now you have new insight so you can do better. That's growth, not shame, and it's a beautiful part of letting go. In a more practical sense, closure might require decluttering your environment. If reminders of old heartbreak or past failure surround you every day, it becomes a trip down memory lane. Clear out any objects, photos, or possessions that anchor you to that outdated story. Keep only what sparks gratitude or positivity, discarding the rest. This physical purge can be cathartic, echoing the mental release you're already undertaking. Finally, treat closure as a celebration rather than a funeral. Even if the past was painful, you survived and likely grew in resilience or wisdom. Gratitude for the journey shapes your exit from that phase. Consider a small ritual, maybe light a candle, sip a comforting tea, or play a meaningful song, while reflecting on how far you've come. Doing so underscores that you are not a victim leaving a battlefield, but a victor stepping off the stage, ready for a new act in the grand play of your life. Chapter 6. Opening the door to your 3-day transformation. Now that closure and alignment are underway, how do you practically step into the pivotal 3-day window that might redefine your life? Picture it like standing at a gateway with 3 consecutive stepping stones before you. Each stone is a day, and each day's actions can accumulate into a full-fledged entry into your new existence. The secret is a blend of intention and adaptability. On day 1, start with a clear intention, first thing in the morning. Something like, "Today I open my heart to synchronicities and accept the unexpected with grace." This primes your subconscious to remain vigilant for signs or offers that might pop up. In parallel, Commit to an act that resonates with your upcoming life reset. Maybe sending out a job application for a role that feels daring, or scheduling a meeting with someone who can guide your next steps. The key is that you are physically acting in accordance with your mental shift. Day 2 is about listening closely. The universe, or your own deep intuition, might respond in unforeseen ways. A friend could call with an idea, or you might stumble onto an online listing that screams potential. Avoid brushing off these signals as mere chance. If something sparks a sense of curiosity or relief, lean into it. This day is also for reflection. Journal about how day 1 went, noting any patterns or prompts that emerge. That awareness helps you refine your approach for day 3. On day 3, seal the deal. Whether it's finalizing a decision, like applying for a particular program, signing up for a gym membership you've procrastinated on, or investing in a skill that aligns with your new path, make a concrete move. This anchors your internal transformation into external reality. By the close of day 3, you'll likely feel a surge of momentum, as though the universe is nodding. Yes, you're serious. That sense of forward motion can be electric, confirming you haven't just daydreamed a fresh start, but initiated one. Now an exercise to supercharge these 3 days. Each evening, jot down at least one micro success or alignment sign. It could be discovering a surprisingly apt podcast episode or noticing you handled a stressful scenario calmly. These small markers reassure you that you're indeed shifting. Cumulatively, they prove that your intention is translating into real-world outcomes, however subtle. What if nothing huge happens in 3 days? Don't spiral. This time frame is more about catalyzing the shift than finalizing it. In some cases, you might see immediate payoffs, like a serendipitous phone call or a new job lead. In others, you'll have sown seeds that sprout a week or month later. The point is to compress your focus into a tight window, creating a sense of urgency that snaps you out of complacency. Whether the big payoff arrives on day 4 or day 40, the motion begins now. Stay flexible. If your day 2 invites a bigger step than you anticipated, roll with it. Or if day 3 brings a challenge, don't mistake it for a dead end. That challenge might be the universe testing your readiness. Keep your posture of, yes, I'm doing this, and see how quickly obstacles dissolve or reveal themselves to be stepping stones. The universe loves a persistent soul who refuses to mistake a speed bump for a blockade. Lastly, keep perspective. The 3-day focus is an ignition switch, not the entire journey. Think of it as a turbo boost out of the rut or inertia you've been stuck in. After these days, you continue building, refining, and expanding, but the initial push sets the tone, telling every molecule of your being and every force in your environment that you're not waiting passively for life to change. You're co-creating that change right now. So approach each day with an open mind and a proactive heart. Marvel at the signals that cross your path. Dare to say yes to the unpredictable and commit to at least one tangible action that aligns with your new direction. By day 3's end, you'll have carved a tangible route into your next life chapter, confident that your fresh start is more than talk. It's your new reality in motion. Chapter 7, Sustaining Your Revived Life Beyond the 3 Days. The 3 days may catapult you into a fresh chapter, but longevity matters. How do you ensure this momentum doesn't fizzle into another passing high? After all, big shifts can be intoxicating, but the real growth is in sustaining the transformation. If you treat your new start as a fad, you'll slide back. If you reinforce it with structure and soulfulness, it becomes your new baseline. Begin by weaving new practices into your routine. Maybe you discovered a dawn meditation that centers your day, or you found journaling after work unleashes creativity. Keep these rituals, adjusting them as you grow. Rituals anchor your new life, preventing you from drifting into old cycles. Over weeks, such habits become second nature, forming the skeleton of your upgraded reality. Stay vigilant for all triggers, whether it's an ex contacting you, a coworker trying to rope you into negativity, or a personal pattern like procrastination creeping back. These triggers test your commitment. You can't control external prompts, but you can control how you respond. If you sense yourself slipping, return to the strategies you used in the 3-day sprint, like setting boundaries, re-entering your mindset, or reaching out to a supportive friend. Nipping these relapses early keeps you from tumbling back into your former life. Also, adopt a growth mindset about mistakes. You'll fumble. The shift might lead to occasional missteps, like overcommitting, trusting the wrong person, or running into a financial hiccup. Don't treat these as signs you weren't meant to change. They are lessons for navigating new territory. Each hurdle overcome fortifies your new identity. Journal about lessons learned, refine your approach, and keep evolving. Consider the power of accountability. If you announce your 3-day plan to a friend or mentor, keep them updated. Let them see your follow-through. Humans are social. Knowing someone expects you to hold the line on your new standard can motivate you to stay consistent. Plus, they can offer perspective if you hit confusion or doubt. They might see solutions you're blinded to because you're still readjusting to your brand new environment. Cultivate a sense of wonder. When life feels too practical or routine, remember you're living a second chance, whatever that means for you. People often slip back into cynicism if they forget how amazing it felt to crack open a new pathway. Periodically revisit your initial motivation. Read old journal entries. Reflect on how stuck or restless you were before this reset. And thank yourself for having the courage to leap. This gratitude cycle fuels your forward motion. You might also want to set milestones. After a month in your new chapter, celebrate somehow, a small treat or a personal ceremony. At 3 months, assess your progress. Have you advanced in the direction you promised yourself? If you find you're further along than expected, fantastic. If you're lagging, figure out why. Milestones let you pivot before drifting too far off course, ensuring your fresh start remains active and intentional. Remember, sustaining your revived life doesn't mean you never adapt again. You're in a process of continual unfolding. Each success might prompt the universe to dangle another opportunity, another layer of growth. Embrace it. The life that's starting over within these next 3 days could blossom into multiple evolutions across years, each building on the last. The key is to remain agile and open, never clinging so tightly to your new normal that you resist the next wave of expansion. Finally, share the inspiration if you can. Whether through social media, casual chats, or more formal channels like blogging, let people see that radical change can happen swiftly if you pair intention with action and faith. Your story might become a catalyst for someone else's transformation. That's how the ripple effect works. One reset triggers another, and soon you realize you're part of a larger tapestry of awakened souls, each forging a path that defies stale convention. So as you move forward, confident in your reset, keep stoking that inner fire. The next 3 days are the launch pad, but the journey is ongoing. You have the blueprint, you felt the stirring, and you've taken initial steps. Sustain that fuel with commitment, curiosity, and a willingness to adapt. Then watch how your new reality not only thrives, but propels you into territories you once thought existed only in daydreams.